Labour have won the election. What does that mean for all you first-time buyers out there? Today, that's what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about their policies, the Building More Homes, the Affordable Housing Initiative, the First-Time Buyer Scheme, the reform of the Help to Buy, the rent control and tenants' rights, the addressing the land banking, and also green and sustainable housing. So if you're interested in learning about all of that, please click on the like and also subscribe to my channel so you'll learn more about first-time buyers and mortgages and money matters. So let's get started. So first, building more houses. Now, this is all about supply and demand. Now, what has been happening for years and years and years is the price of property is going up continuously, and it's great if you own property, and I'm smiling because I've owned for the last sort of 20 odd years, but if you're trying to get on the property ladder like yourselves, it isn't good. Now, the reason that there are many reasons why property prices go up. Obviously, it's related to inflation, it's related to the housing market in general, it's related to supply and demand. Now, what happens is if there aren't enough houses, then people can actually not ask for anything they want, but the price of properties will continue to go up because there isn't enough houses. Now, obviously, if you think about it from the perspective of if there was a lot of houses, in fact, if there were more people trying to sell than people trying to buy, for example, in order to encourage the few buyers that are out there, the sellers would have to reduce the price of their property, so you would pick their property. But for as long as I can remember, it's always been the other way around. Now, the only way you can get around this is maybe sometimes of the year there are less people selling than normal, but generally speaking, for a long time, there haven't been enough housing. Now, what Labour are saying, or it was one of their policies, they plan to change that by building more houses. Now, they've talked about building, having a target of building 150,000 new social and affordable homes. Now, obviously, this is great news for first-time buyers, and assuming this, when this happens, etc., you'll obviously see the benefit. The next thing is they also talked about the affordable housing incentive. Now, Labour's plans were to ensure a significant portion of the new housing development are affordable, and they aim to support the construction and making it generally affordable for homes to rent and to buy. So that's great news as well. The next thing they've also talked about introducing is the First Buyer Scheme. Now, the First Buy Scheme aims to offer government-backed low interest rate loans for first-time buyers. Now, obviously, it will be great when we have a little bit more detail around this, but it will include initial deposit, and it should make it a lot more affordable for first-time buyers to get that first mortgage. Now, they're also looking to reform the Help to Buy. Now, the Help to Buy was the original where you could put down 5% and then 20% would be subsidised, and then obviously you would pay that back. But the way it would work is you'd have a mortgage and you'd have the deposit, and then later on what would happen is you'd be paying obviously some of the Help to Buy loan, and you'd also be paying some of the mortgage. But eventually what would happen is if you weren't able to pay back the Help to Buy loan, what you could do is after a certain amount of years, it was normally 5, you can actually remortgage the whole lot and include the Help to Buy element within your mortgage. And by then, you know, they assume that property prices have gone up, and it all works out affordability wise. So that was another way of getting on the ladder, and that was for mainly new builds as far as I can tell. The next thing is they've been talking about rent control and tenancy rights. So Obviously, if you're a first-time buyer and you're renting privately, it can get very expensive, which makes it even longer for you to get that deposit. Now, there are 100% mortgages, and obviously I will do another video on that. But what Labour have said that they're going to do is they're going to start introducing rent controls and give tenants more rights. So so rent isn't as high as, you know, it sometimes can be. So it does give you that opportunity to save a deposit. So that's also good news. The next thing is they're addressing the land bank. So they plan to tackle the land bank by developers, which ensures there's more land available for new builds, because at the moment there is a restriction of land in certain areas. As we all know, London is, for example, is a very, very popular area. And because of that, a lot of people try and buy in London, and there's just not enough room. It's gotten to a certain point where they're saying that there's not enough room. So people could sort of build outside of London, but quite a lot of people want to live in London. So it's trying to figure out a way to get the right location and find the right area so you can build on that. The final thing is green and green housing. So they're talking about focusing on green housing, which could also impact first-time buyers, offering, you know, incentives for eco-friendly homes. There are things called green mortgages, and a lot of lenders do offer these. And basically, a green mortgage is when you've got, so each house is assessed on an EPC. That is the energy proficiency. And depending on certain things of how much heat you keep in your house, so you know whether the house is insulated, whether it's got decent double glazing, whether you've got an efficient boiler, certain things like that. I mean, obviously if you've got solar panels and things like that, then that's another level. But talking for first-time buyers, then you know, with normal new builds, they try and have the EPC rating at a decent level. But if it's an older house, you might have to do some home improvements. But what they're saying is, if you've got an EPC rating of maybe A, B, sometimes C, that's considered very, very good, and they will reward you, if for want of a better word, by giving you a mortgage that includes that. So these are all the things. Just to recap, they're planning to, their policies state that they're building more houses, affordability housing initiatives, first-time buyer scheme, reform the Help to Buy, rent control and tenancy rights, and green and sustainable housing. Now, as more products, the actual mortgages, become apparent, I will be doing individual videos on each one to explain in detail what the criteria is, you know, who's eligible and what you need to do. So just watch this space, and as I said, please subscribe and like the video if you found this informative. Thank you.